on, people? It's Mr. Dore back again with another podcast. I hope everyone's fit and well. And yes, we lost 2-0 yesterday, but I'm not disappointed. I hope everyone had a fantastic day at Wembley. 36,000 Forest fans was in London yesterday. I think it was the most fans this weekend. So hopefully everyone had a great time despite the result. But listen, proud of the lads, proud of the team. And I guess a great day out for the fans. But people, let's talk about it. If you're happy aside, get involved as well. Hit the like button as well. Subscribe if you're new. And if you have not seen the vlog, go and watch it, please, because I took my daughter for the first time and she really enjoyed it. But yeah, let's get involved. Well, let's get the panel. First of all, the man himself, Marlo. You right, Marlo?
No.
Why? Come on, man. Come on. Why?
I'm a sore loser. Well, in my defence, I've just watched the whole game back
again.
So, again, completely sober.
Not a good thing.
Gutted. Yeah, absolutely gutted. Like proud of the boys, second half, but I hate losing. Yeah, we'll get into it, obviously, but absolutely gutted. And it was, to be fair, it was an absolutely fantastic day until 4:32, and then it went horribly, horribly wrong.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Next up, we've got the man himself, Des. How are you, Des?
I'm okay. Probably a bit more gracious than Marlo today. I've not watched it back. I've not seen any footage. Tired, busy at work. Still recovering myself from yesterday's shenanigans, but great day. You know, I forgot what a great day these things are amongst the result. You know, the result's important. The result always matters, but meeting up with people and saying hello, absolutely fantastic. Been telling you one or two bits. It might come out in the podcast of what we was up to. So just really enjoyed it. Just a pity, you know, we conceded so early and the way the game turned out. But we'll get into that as well. But just really sort of proud to be a Forest fan, you know, and the gracious way most of us took it. Absolutely over the moon with the way that we outsung them. They outplayed us. We outsung them. We outfanned them. You know, we outdid them in every aspect apart from the results. So really, just proud of the fact that we were. We're a genuine big club. You know.
Oh, Des, don't upset the Manchester City fans. I've heard so many excuses from him, and I get it. No, you know what? No, I'm not giving him no sympathy to him because what I heard is because they've been to the final so many times, they're allowed to have a day off. So what? There's semi-final. What you hear is, oh, we've got a bigger fan base. Where are they then? Because I don't know if you people who didn't go to the game, there was a section of Man City, Man City didn't fill in. So people in the chat, do you feel sorry for him, or it's just sour grapes? They should have filled it in because, like I said, Marley said, what was Marley? 36,000 we had. Man City had 26. And then Aston Villa Palace had 32 or
35 and a half.
So that is just embarrassing for me. But Man City fans might say otherwise and all that. But listen, we're bigger than Man City fan base. I don't care what anyone says. It is what it is. Right. Before we do that, I'm going to go for the chat. The man himself, Chris. Forest fans were amazing. Watch on TV broadcast. Great job. Dore giving his daughter first team call up in the cup semi-final. Come on, you're right. My daughter enjoyed it. She absolutely loved it. I don't know if you've seen the video of this with all the Forest fans scarves and right. But yeah, Des, sorry, I got to say this on live stream, Des. She kept saying, where's that that fella? I went, the one lives in Meadows. I went, Des, yeah, I want to punch him. I went, what? Because, sorry, Craig, if you watch this, Craig, she punched Craig without my knowledge. So I do apologize for no, I don't apologize to Craig, but yeah, Des wants to punch you there. So not like
she's not the only one, Dore. Everybody on Twitter wants to as well half the time, so that's all right.
And me too, but yeah, sorry, Kate, but she was looking for that Meadows fella. But I thought the first thing was Des. Went, yeah. So Yeah, my daughter enjoyed it. She really enjoyed it. If you've not seen it, see it, man. Yeah. And before we do, I saw Kay and Dawn in the papers. What were they? Was Kay tipsy? Des?
Well, at least she didn't see the match out.
That says it all then. Shout out to Dawn and Kay.
She was back home 15 minutes before the end of the match.
Ali says, Reg, first off was poor. Let's hope the fans have a nice day out. Let's concentrate on the league. Let's make top 5. Reg. It was a great day, but like I said, we'll talk about throughout the day as well. Kel, nice good to see you yesterday, Kel, with your son. Evening, what an amazing day we had yesterday, despite the loss. Now we move on. 5 games to go to get in Champions League. Reds. Amazing day yesterday. As well, Box Park as well was great as well. Eve, good evening, Mr. Dore. Desert Mollo. Hope you're well. It's a shame that we lost, but so proud of the Forest getting to the semi-finals. I'm just doing the exercise and then the colouring. I say, Eve, you do colouring. Here's Mollo. Good evening. Great season and still got the food. Come on, Mollo. Cheer up.
Can I at least have another day or two before?
cheer up, Mollo. That's coming from Gary. Good to see you as well, Gary, as well. Kira, hey boys, how are you? I'm just gutted, man. I'm gutted. That's all I am. And Gary, it says Mank W. You whatever people you assume what he's saying. but yeah. Well, let's talk about the match yesterday, man. But like I said, I'm gutted. But we'll start with you, Des. Like, let's start with a good moment for Zach Abbott, because no one, I think Des did, assumed the team was going to be. But Des, when you heard Zach Abbott starting, and people come out as well, get involved. We saw Zach Abbott starting. What was your first thought? So we'll start with you, Mark. Des. First thought we thought Zach Abbott, debut for Forest.
Nothing too much in it, apart from the fact it's a surprise addition. I had every confidence in the kid to do a job. I've seen him play. A bit of a surprise that he's playing right back. I thought they might play with a 3 and he might form part of that and get that added protection of Murillo and Milenkovic to sort of bring him on. And at right back, it was a little bit of a surprise. But at the end of the day, we knew we were struggling in those areas. We knew something was going to have to happen, and he went against a side that was going to dominate the football with a defensive lineup. I guess against other teams, he might have gone with 3 at the back and he might have played Dominguez, in that position, who's done it recently. But we knew in that position, especially, we were really, really struggling just by the bookings and the injury to Aina and Nico Williams, and the fact that obviously if it was left side and the players were missing, it's different, isn't it? Because you've got Toff to come in, but they're both right footers who can play left back. We haven't got left backs who can play right back, if you know what I mean. So something had to give, and it was a surprise. What my first thought was? That is so Brian Clough. It's something Clough would have done. Whether it was Darren Wassell or Gary Charles or throwing Lee Glover in a cup final.
Chris Woods.
Such a Forest thing to do, and they're trying to keep this tradition going of the homegrown player. And when Yates is on the pitch, that means it falls on Zach Abbott at the moment. It's still a surprise that he played because that record's gone on for 60, 70 years in the squad. So it was still a surprise, but as it worked out, he looked a little bit raw, but he didn't do anything wrong. They shielded him a little bit. They tried to protect him quite a lot. I noticed they're not necessarily trying to sort of play the ball too much down that side, but he didn't do anything wrong. And I think he grew into the game at the rate Forest grew into the game, which wasn't particularly quickly. Once we found ourselves behind, we were struggling for a good fair bit, and we were getting overrun in midfield, which I'm sure we'll come to. But as Forest just started to warm to things, but so did Zach Abbott, and it was kind of nice for him in the end, not to go off as a substitute because he's not performed, but because Cramp got the better of him on the big pitch. So he's gets the better of more experienced players than Zach Abbott and players that played against City week in, week out. Never mind out of position for the best part of, I can't remember how many minutes it was, 70, I guess, something like that. And he got his ovation. He got to walk behind the goal, and I think all that can do going forward is prove to be a valuable experience that he didn't. It was do or die, wasn't it? And he didn't die on the fix. It didn't crush him. You know, sometimes if Forest were 3-0 down after, if they'd have played Docker and were 3-0 down after 10 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, you know, it could have crushed him a little bit and it could have been a long way back. But I think it's only a positive now he's played. Yes, we would have liked to have our first choices in place. We'd have liked to win the football match, but it can only be a positive that he's got that experience under his belt against such quality opposition, because whoever he plays next probably not quite going to be as good, are they? You know, and that's reality. It's not just fact. It's the reality of the situation. So yeah, a little bit surprised. It smacked to Brian Clough. There's been a lot of talk about Brian Clough this week because of the FA Cup and comparisons with Nuno, and great article. Well, a great headline in I think it was a Mail, wasn't it? The new sheriff of Nottingham in a picture of Nuno and Cloughie. And that was definitely a Cloughieism, you know, big shock in the cup final. Didn't always pay off, but it did in the earlier days. So, yeah, no, it can only be a good thing for Zach Abbott, and it can only be a good thing for Forest, because if we need to call upon him, you know, he's probably, fifth in the pecking order. But sometimes it can go that far. We're seeing in the fullback positions we're down to bare bones. So if we need to call upon him, you know, he's there and he's got another big game experience under his belt. So really pleased for him. Unfortunately, it didn't work out on the day.
100%. Well, let's talk about the first half, Molo, because like I said, the first 2 minutes it just like, here we go again. But we stuck by it. But what was your reaction from the first half?
Well, first of all, I think we've got that great manager, and the comparison I would make the Zach Abbott thing, an 18-year-old coming in, was the Chris Wood goalkeeper thing. You two are probably a bit too young to remember that in the final of the League Cup.
Wait. I remember Chris Wood
when it worked.
I remember Chris Wood. I'm just not as old as you lot. So people in the chat, I'm the youngest here. Just these two, the oldest. But yeah, keep it real.
But I thought, obviously, as soon as that goal went in, there's a bit of your fear in the worst. But all I said was, all the preparation, all the planning, the game plan now is in real trouble. But in credit to the boys, and Nuno, they stuck to the game plan till half time, albeit by our fingertips. And you think that first half, we were outplayed, of course we were. But yeah, there's all sorts of ways of looking at it. And obviously, I'm not going to see. I can see the positives, but I'm not going to smile till probably about Wednesday. But that's okay. You remember, that's my fifth match I've been at starting FA Cup semi-final. We've only won one. But it was the game plan straight away was under serious strain after that, wasn't it? And the natural thing for teams normally, I could almost hear the commentators, although they didn't, to be fair, say, Forest, that's going to make for a good game because Forest will have to come out now. They didn't actually say that, to be fair. And we didn't come out because we couldn't get the ball for a start. And this is might not be the strongest City have been in the last 5 years, but they're a lot closer to themselves now than they were a couple of months back. We've got to remember that. And that's the first half. It was shocking. It was horrible to watch. I honestly feel, and I don't want to criticise the lads because it's a 95-minute game. Honestly feel we showed them too much respect. We didn't get close to them, and I don't just mean pressing up top and all that. And the commentators were going on about it, and I watched it back. There were times where we had these banks of players, and nobody was marking anybody, and they were just drifting in and out wherever they felt like it. And in fact, that's almost how the first goal came, wasn't it? I mean, Rico Lewis, he's a terrific young, talented right back, but we let him drift between our defence and midfield, and nobody's got close to him until it's too late. And, he's a strike of a lifetime, so fair play. if we're being harsh, we showed them too much respect. Like we always seem to with Man City, don't we? When we're not playing them at the City ground, we show them loads of respect. Here, have the ball, not just have the ball, have the space to hurt us with it. And thank goodness they didn't hurt us as much as they could have done in that first half. But then, of course, the second half was very, very different. And before I know you're going to go on to that, the one thing, we've took a lot of stick this season, people saying, oh, your XG's this, your XG's that. I don't know if you've seen this. Our XG, whatever that crappy thing means, was actually better than City's by the end of the game as well. And like we said, I said to because Gemma was like, it was what was lovely. It was lovely to be there, managed to get tickets for the whole family. But she was going, oh, what this? That. I said, thing is, Gem, they had a header went in the top corner and a shot went in the bottom corner. If they both hit the post and the crossbar, and our shot goes in the top corner and one of our shots goes on the inside post, do you know what I mean? That's football. It happens, doesn't it? I'm going to be very circumspect about it in a couple of days' time. At the moment, it's too raw. It hurts too much, you know. And that was the first half. We've got to be honest. We were absolutely garbage in the first half. But I think it's because we let them play rather than they were as brilliant as people make out. And they were boring as hell, passing the ball backwards, sideways, backwards. We never got the ball, but neither did they do that much with it. So 100%. That was my first half in a nutshell.
I want to ask about first half. Like I said, Patch said, Denilo Labit at the moment. I think he should sit out for the last 5 games and he come back stronger for pre-season. Des, let's talk about Denilo. What was your thoughts on him?
I think everybody's right in what they're saying, you know, and I noticed it before this game. I'm not trying to say I told you so or anything, you know. That position worries me with Denilo a little bit. He's got the ability to play it. He's got the energy. He's got the range of passing. He's got the skills to play that position, but his concentration a little bit just wavers. And again, I'm giving him a bit of a get out clause as well in the fact that sometimes when you come back from a long injury, you play well for a couple of weeks, and then the fatigue kicks in. You know, you get over the adrenaline, and it gets tough. So that comment by Patch might actually be not too far from what needs to happen, really. Apart from the fact we don't want to just chuck him out in the cold. It might be a case of him taking a back seat now, having a big pre-season, you know, and coming back stronger for it. I feel with Denilo, there's one hell of a player in there, but again, it's that concentration thing. And against teams like City, you know, especially against teams like City, but against anyone in the Premier League, possession is 9/10 of the law. You know, you have to keep the football. And it's a bit like a hot potato at times. And it's not because he can't do it. Like I say, a lot of it is possibly concentration, being match savvy again, being up to pace. He might just be sort of flagging a little bit after the timeout when everybody is kind of getting their second wind. You know, he's just struggling a bit. So, yeah, look, from the very first moment, and it wasn't just him, I thought Dominguez, who again has been excellent in many ways and up and down a little bit over the season. Forest was just overrunning midfield. The best player on the pitch yesterday, you know, and I was so pleased I thought it to myself when he went off before they announced it. It was Kovacic. He was incredible. If he's their backup number 6, how many times have I banged on at you guys about this number 6 position? Yeah, if he's their backup, you know, we've got a long, long way to go. We've got so much progress in us if we find anybody who can play that role. Because, again, you saw when we get high up the pitch, we're going to create chances. We hit the post, you know. We didn't play particularly well to create many of those chances, but we've got high up the pitch. And that's the problem with the workman-like players. I felt, again, yesterday, we missed Yates massively. Yeah. Not for his technical ability. You know, we know, we've said that a million times. We don't even need to say it anymore. Just for getting amongst them. You know, getting into Kovacic, you know, chasing him about a bit, you know, putting him on the back foot, because he got on the ball and he just ran the game. Like Molo says, they were boring at times. You know, I've seen him play and I remember him play, but what a team they're going to be when Rodri steps back in there. You know, because he's 5 times a player. Kovacic, you know, he's got the goals, he's got everything. He breaks into the box, but it was that position that was so crucial on the football pitch. And this is what lets Forest down in big games. This is why Morgan Gibbs-White isn't scoring 10 goals a season, because I saw lots of things about when he gets back in there, he gets people doing the job, he gets them doing this. But we've had this conversation. We had it with Brian Roy. Get him up the pitch, get him into the box a lot more, and things are going to happen. And that was the player we signed. We're working on it. We're a work in progress still. We've took a massive step forward this year, and unfortunately, Sangare's not worked out. Danilo's had a career-threatening injury he's coming back from. So it's not just their inability, and it's not that we're not trying to solve this problem. But in that midfield area, in these big games, usually when we go away from home, of course it worked at Liverpool when we played a narrow midfield. But I'm thinking City, Arsenal over the last couple of years, it's that thing, and I think Roy Keane touched on it, didn't he? It's that ability to bounce back. The only bit of sort of footage I've seen on social media is saying Forest to go forward again, to take that next step. They've got to start coming back in games. They've got to find a plan, because that's going to happen at times. Teams are going to hit you, even if it's a surprise lead. It wasn't so much a surprise yesterday, but you've got to find a way to get your foot back into the game quicker. And that's what didn't happen yesterday. That's where City overrun it. And because of their dynamic midfield, and you've got Bernardo Silva sort of drifting all over the place and doing what he wants. Yes, it's boring to some degree on the eye, but you can't pick it up either. And Danilo's breathing out his backside after 20 minutes. You're really struggling. So I don't think I won't go too heavy on Denilo. That's the point I'm kind of getting to. But it was the midfield where City won that football match yesterday. They didn't play width. I expected them to play Doku, especially against Saka, and because he absolutely killed Aina in the first game up at City, and then Aina got the better of him at the City ground. So I thought he might be an option for them, and of course they had Foden and De Bruyne. But it just shows their sort of almost half-second string, still, like Molo said, that they're a lot better than they were even a couple of weeks ago. They're getting back to somewhere, and you start thinking now, put Haaland back in that team, sign Florian Wirtz and whoever they might be signing, and they could be like running away with the league again. So there's no shame in the way you play Denilo and people in midfield played up against them. I don't think it was as shocking as people make out, but it was tough. It was tough for them. And it was always going to be tough for them, because it's not natural for Forest, is it? We're not moving the ball quick enough. When we win games, we don't move the ball quick enough. When you're chasing the game, it's even harder when you've got players of the ability of City who can just sit on the ball, can just put the foot on the ball and look side to side, play it back, play it here, there and everywhere. It is boring. We're proud of the way we're not falling into that mould. But we do need some control in there, of somebody who's going to get that ball out to our flair players a lot quicker. And unfortunately, at the moment, the options we have, including Yates, even though that game was crying out for him, don't really allow us to do that. So it's almost like we have to play to score the first goal. Once the goal goes in after 107 seconds, it's like, that's killed us for a bit. But what we have to do is take credit, and everybody has to take credit in the way we did give it a bit of a go. One of them goes in. Everyone spoke about the Elanga one.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah,
that goes in, or one of the chances that hit the post, and it just changed. You've seen it so many times. City have got form. They were 3-0 up against PSV, cruising. Conceded 3 goals, and they did it a lot earlier in the season. And goals change football matches, and so do quality players when they score. So you never know, on a different day. But yeah, I felt Forest lost it in there, and partly due to the fact it was Denilo and Dominguez who weren't quite on top of it. Anderson was his usual busy self, but the pitch was far too big for the system we tried to play yesterday, considering we weren't going to utilise the right back as much, so it was a lot of it was stretched all over the place where players could sort of move between the lines, and that's what happened with the first goal, wasn't it?
100%. Before we talk about second half, let's go through the comments. as well. And there's Steve. Steve, how you doing? Well, Steve, good about the result, but I thought the balance of the team was off. I definitely missed like the Yates who get close to Kolovich who won the show. One consideration is I got to keep the beard. Yeah, if no one's watched it, if we did win the FA Cup, Stephen would have shaved his beard off. So Forest, shame on you. No, wait. If we finish fourth, I think Stephen should shave his beard off. People, do you agree? If we finish third, Stephen's going to shave off his beard. People in the chat, yes or no? Stephen, I hope you're watching this, because I want yes. Carl, I think Denilo hold back as well. He's scary of taking someone or in case he gets injured again. Yeah, that's me too as well, Carl. Guy says, I think we need to take the ball off his horns in these last 5 cup final games. Doing might rest dinner and start Cameron Doy and Alanga and go back to the team that more plays. Yes, 100%. Katie, good evening. Despite the result, great day with all the fans. Jackson loved his first trip to Wembley as well. Jackson, I hope you had a great day. Knight had a great day as well. So all the kids who've never been to Wembley before, I hope you had a great day. Like I said, it was just great atmosphere. Great atmosphere, man. I enjoyed it, man. I really did. Denilo was out for 6 months. He's been poor for 18 months. Oh, that's a bit harsh.
No,
That's a bit harsh, man. But, yeah. If Steve has to shave his beard, then we need to dye. What? That's not. Is that no? What? Why are you picking on me for, Cal? I'm just saying what Steve said. What are you picking on me for? Right. Let's get to second half. That's you, Molo. That chance for Alanga, man. like Des says, if he scores that, the game changes, doing it. But talk about the second half, Molo.
At the time, I thought it was, quite not a bad miss, but a really, really, open goal almost. But having seen it back, there's a lot about it that made it more difficult when it looked at first glance, to be fair. But you've got to put those chances away. And if you're going to beat a team like City when they're playing quite well, I don't disagree with Des about Kovacic being a great player, or not a great player, very good player and running the game. But I still think in the first half we let him run the game. We let him have the ball. He was under no pressure. He could jog around wherever. But then he's still got to then go ahead and do what he did. So I'm not taking away from him. And like you said, Yates getting in. But second half, he was a little bit less dominant. I think massive shout out, unfortunately, in front of Pep. I thought that was in context, one of Morgan Gibbs-White's best games. I knew he'd played well, and I knew he'd been a bit unlucky at times. But watching it back, he dragged us back into that game, with what he could do. And Des is right. We want him further up the pitch, and he was at times having to come quite deep. But he dragged us back into that game, and his passing, his movement, I know he was a bit mardy when he got tackled a couple of times that weren't fouls, but he was superb. His work rate on and off the ball, with the ball, second half. He scored one of the best volleys we'd have ever seen at Wembley. Another day that goes in off the bar. That slightly, the one where he went around the keeper, he's got slightly too much on the first touch to beat the keeper, didn't he? So the angle was a bit tight, and he hit the post. But watching it, it's different when you're there, isn't it? It's different live at the time in any game because you're hoping for a goal. Do you know what I mean? And you're always worried, thinking, they look dangerous, and are we going to score? But watching it back, knowing the score, I was looking at it thinking, we should have scored a couple of goals, no doubt whatsoever. I don't include the Awandi one. That was a bit of opportunism that could have gone anywhere, but we should have scored a couple of goals second half. And Des is absolutely right. If we score with anything over 20 minutes to go, we know what goes through their heads at Wembley. A loud crowd backing the team that's on the chase. It's that thing, isn't it? So really proud. I'm miserable, but I'm not being negative, if that makes sense. I'm miserable because we lost and I'm gutted, but I'm proud of what the boys tried to do in the end. I love Nuno, and it's dead easy to be clever after the event. Maybe looking at, again, their form at times in the last month or two, maybe we should have gone all guns blazing in the first 20 minutes to try and get a goal and then done what we do, maybe. But who are we to say any different? Because he came up with a plan to beat them at the City Ground. So it's the way it goes. But no, I'm proud of what they did. Should have scored, could have got a goal, could have changed things, would have, could have, should have. At the end of the day, we're all massive Crystal Palace fans apart from next Monday, aren't we, for a few weeks' time. And I really hope Palace absolutely turn them over, not because it's Man City, but just because it's boring now. The same team's winning everything. But cracking second half, brilliant attitude. And that's the one thing I've heard you say it a few times, Des, about how we're different now. We didn't roll over. There would be some people in that stadium, particularly those that don't go every week, thinking, oh, here we go again, when they got that early goal and we couldn't get the ball. But you kind of knew we might not have got it right in terms of our footballing, but our attitude, our work rate, our kind of refusal to roll over, that's something, Bournemouth aside, that we knew we've got, and you can't argue. But my scary thing about Gibbs White is, what was Pep whispering in his ear? He might be saying, you're this good in a team that works off 30 to 40% of possession. How good would you be 10 yards further up the pitch with a team that gets 70 or 80% of possession? Do you know what I mean? I know that's hypothetical, but there we go.
That's exactly what it is, though, Marlo. That's exactly what. If he is after him, we don't know that. Talk to a lot of players,
No.
But that's why I've been banging on about this number 6 thing, because if he did sign for them for 100 million or whatever they're talking about, he don't defend. He plays on the edge of their box doing what he does, and that's the scary thought. Because what we'd like to see is him doing that a bit more in a Forest shirt. Anyway.
It'd be closing down the likes of Murillo and Milenkovic, wouldn't it, instead of helping out the midfield. So yeah, but I mean, God, let's not even have that conversation. Get it out of our heads. But I think he's come of age this season, hasn't he? And I think yesterday in a really tough battle, because he's only ever had, in my opinion, I love him, but he's only ever had one 90-minute performance, if you like, and we won 7-0. We beat Man United 3-2 because he had 15 brilliant minutes. I think I've said it before. He's the hardest working player on the pitch, but when he's on the ball and he's on form for 10 minutes, we win games just like that, don't we? And it nearly happened in a way yesterday. But he played well throughout the whole game. I thought, he came of age almost, not just as a captain, but as a leader and doing what you want top midfield players to do. Get you back, drag you back into a game when you're up against it. It was kind of the Stuart Pearcey, obviously totally different type of player, but you could see everything about him. Like watching again on telly, it was even more so. I thought, man, he's come of age right when we need him. So that's the same for the next 5 games. Not come of age, that's unfair. He's been superb all season, but to play as well as he did against a team like that in those circumstances just amplifies what we already know about his character, isn't it?
Right. Michael just said a good topic, and I was about to bring up, and this is for Des as well. And I am sorry to bring up this up, but searching the best ear hole midfielder, Muggs White does not make the top 10. Des, do you want to answer that one?
Well,
yes.
Maybe not. And it's what searches? Who searches? The fact of the matter is he's a linchpin to our team. He drags, like Marlo said there, at Old Trafford, 15 minutes he was unplayable for 15 minutes and made the result from a likely defeat into a win. And I totally agree with Marlo. He does struggle to string perform. I'm his biggest fan, as you know. That's why you've come to me.
That's why I come to you, Des.
But he does struggle to bring 90 minutes to the table. But this is the problem, because the rest of the team is not on the same level. You get that number 6 right, you get that ball into him half a yard quicker. He's not having to do the show pony stuff. Sometimes he has to do to try and beat a man, because he might just run past them. Get the ball down to Hudson-Odoi and Ilanga, and he can be breaking into the box. I can't forget the player we saw at Sheffield United. Yes, it was Championship. Yes, it was a different age ago, it seems now. But his game was based on breaking off one. It was usually the left-hand side, breaking into the box, getting on the end of things. Doesn't do that at Forest. I saw early in the season, another podcast, one of the ones I respect, one of the good Forest ones, they were talking about him. Eh?
You said you don't respect the Dore podcast.
This is why I don't. You know what? I'm giving Des a free game suspension for not respecting my podcast. No, I'm joking. But
the point I'm trying to make, before you rudely interrupt, is one of the podcasts I do respect. So I'm not just being argumentative. That's the point I'm trying to make. In the fact that they were saying when Anderson came back in after like Gibbs White had been injured and Anderson played 10 and he played really well, and they said let's swap him over, because Gibbs White can play midfield. Well, he can, because he could probably play anywhere, but you're wasting a talent, so I didn't respect that. What I'm saying is I didn't agree with it, even though they're quite knowledgeable folk on the one I'm talking about. But you don't swap them over, because Gibbs White is the first name on the team sheet at number 10. What he does do in games, he can adjust his performance to drop back in, to play some kind of deeper line football. And when it's not going well, even if it's not a tactic, he'll just get himself back in there and start sort of dishing out some orders, ringing some necks and roughing people.
Winning a tackle.
Yeah, setting the example, being the captain of the team, as he quite often is in Yates's absence, and setting that example of what we need to do. So, yes, it's brilliant, but we need him higher up the pitch. If we're going to be a force in any sort of force, if we get Champions League, for example, right, watch Morgan Gibbs White flourish. Because what's happened is, for the first year or so, everyone was questioning his ability. Like, one or two still do, but they were questioning, oh, well, he's not been great himself. Then they put Hudson-Odoi in and Langeritz a bit of form in there, and Gibbs White's level goes again, because he's got better players around him. You put a number 6 in there, there's still links with Douglas Luiz and players like that. Another level of number 6. You're talking serious footballers who allow Morgan Gibbs White another 10 yards. You're talking Champions League. There's lots of Forest fans in the last week upset with some comments about how we'll get battered if we're in the Champions League. It's not even worth listening to, because the team will adjust and Nuno will adjust. So, but even as we play, if we've got Douglas Luiz or a number 6, Adam Wharton, anybody who's got some real ability, you've got Gibbs White up there, you're going to have more of the football in attacking positions. All of a sudden, we lose this tag of being a defensive team, a more sort of forward-thinking team, but we don't play to the same boring system that Man City do, and the same thing, so we can mix it up. And that's what these teams can't do. So all it is with Gibbs White is affording him that extra space and time, and yes, he has to earn some of that. He has to make it, but I think he's shown that over the last 2 or 3 years since he's been at the club. One thing you could never, ever in a million years is question his commitment, and his desire to get results. And that's shown at the end of the match yesterday. So yeah, look, he might not be up there with the best. I don't get particularly upset when he don't get picked for England. Lots of Forest fans are up in arms and raging. I think he should, but I don't get particularly upset because of the competition he's got. I'm honest. He's not Phil Foden. He's not even an out of form Phil Foden right now. He's not Jude Bellingham. He's not Cole Palmer. So I can live with that. But what we have got is an asset we definitely do not want to lose, because even for 100 million, people are saying perhaps, we can reinvest and do these kind of things. It takes a lot of money to get a really good player in the Premier League. As 100 million for Gibbs White, who's not in the top 10 midfielders, suggest. So again, I think we have to be careful on this one, and don't believe the grass is always greener on the other side, because we might be taking this guy a little bit for granted. No, most people don't. Most people don't take him for granted, but he has grabbed this team from day one. From the day he walked in at Everton, the day he stepped on the pitch at Everton, he's grabbed this team by the scruff of the neck and said, you're coming with me. We're not settling for second best. And yes, there's Nuno and there's the money being invested. But again, on the pitch, he's the best example of what the owner wants off the pitch. He's somebody who's not prepared to give in. So I just think it's all well and good saying he's not the finished article, but he is one hell of a footballer. And I thought the same yesterday, and I thought the same in the last game against Tottenham. 15 minutes at the start of the game, Mollo, it was Morgan Gibbs-White at the centre of everything. He won us the game in the first 15 minutes. He won it. He won us the game against Tottenham in the huddle when he said, forgive me, let's play some fucking football. Let's go out there and play some football tonight. And again, the players responded because the guy's got an aura about him, and the top players. They have to start somewhere. They have to progress. They have to go through these levels. And this guy is going all the way to the top. Believe me, there's been people in this country watching him for years and years and years, waiting for the touch paper to be sparked. And I think we're on the brink of it right now because he's winning football matches. And that's what we paid all that money for when we thought it was way beyond our means.
I'm sure
there was a much shorter answer we could have given, Des. He might not be in the top 10, and that's what metric is he going by? Because he's in the top 10 for chances created, which is his job, isn't it? So,
at the end of the day, Mollo, Dore comes to me because he knows I'm passionate about Morgan.
This is why I said, Des, you see the comment. I thought, Des,
and if that's not going to get clipped up, I don't know what I need to do because.
No, I'm with you, Des. Des, I agree with everything you've said, but the only thing I would disagree on, well, not disagree, because you kind of said about levels, he's a far, far better player now than he was in the Championship and when we signed him. Do you remember? I don't mean he's not any more talented. He's using the talent in the right areas of the pitch, isn't he? And he seems to have gained even more, like you say, kind of a respect and aura. And yeah, I think he's got to play as far forward as we can get away with. But I understand why people could say, "Oh, he's a great number 8," because you want him on the ball more, and that supports your point about getting the ball up to him quicker. But yeah, he's created. I saw a thing when I was watching Sky the other day. He's in the top number of chances created in midfielders, and that's his main job. The bonus with Gibbs-White, when we signed him, I didn't know until I saw him play just how hard he works as well. And in some ways, in his first season, that was a little bit his downfall because he's such a team player, wasn't he? He's running his legs off to make sure we don't lose rather than now we're wanting to see him make us win. And you can name loads. Do you remember that Fulham game in the first season where for 30 minutes he was absolutely unplayable as well?
Yeah, everyone was.
I'm glad you mentioned that Tottenham game because I've been dead busy since then. But what really not annoyed me, this is going to sound really arrogant, but the absolute brain deadness of some football fans that are either neutrals or Tottenham fans who didn't understand that they lost that game in the first 20 minutes because I watched the game like I always do back on TV. We were like peak Brazil at times, knocking the ball around, but it was attacking. It was free-flowing, wasn't it? And you're absolutely right. Nearly everything came through Gibbs-White.
Don't upset the Spurs fans. They're a bit mardy, man.
The ones at the game were absolutely spot on, chatting to them on the way out. They were saying they were well beaten and Forest looked a really good side.
I'm seeing the content creators, the mardy arses, man. That's the
But we won that game, and so we've been a little bit hard on the Forest midfield today, like apart from Gibbs-White. We won the game in the midfield, and this is where the battle is won. The battle's not won. Yes, a lot of it, the defenders defend, the strikers score the goals, but striking is not the art it used to be. The game of football today, in this modern game with the possession, with the athleticism, is won in the centre of the pitch. Against Tottenham, we were better than them. And we weren't better than them just because, Forest are here and they're there. But in reality, I'm going to contradict that. We are a top 4 team at the moment, and Tottenham are 17th, 16th. And that's been switched over the last couple of years where it's been different. We overran them in midfield, and Morgan Gibbs-White was the centre of it.
Absolutely.
And that's what City did to us yesterday. And that's why it's about levels. So again, if we get that position right, and it just all comes back to that and where Forest go next. And it's kind of nice that it's not been right. And Nuno's put us in third place or wherever we fall in when the game in hand's played in the table. And then you go, bang, there's your number 6. If Sangare had worked in the way we wanted him to, or what we thought was going to happen, where would we be? Where would Morgan Gibbs-White be? If Morgan Gibbs-White's banging in goals as a player playing off the front man for Forest, Thomas Tuchel's got no choice to play him. I've mentioned all those players and I don't think he's quite at that level yet. But he's got no choice to play him because in this day and age, rightly or wrongly, stats wins out. And you'll see once he's got that backup in there, once he's got that solidity, that technical ability, because that's the game today. Yates 20 years ago, Dominguez 20 years ago would have been your best midfielders in the league. But that's not the way football is. So the more we sort of put behind him, keep the team together. I know we're going into digressing into other things and things like that. But the more we give him and the more he gets from playing for Forest, I don't think he's in a rush to go anywhere. I think we're going to have a season or two out of him. And we've got one hell of a player. If he goes, everybody's got to hold down up and go, do you know what? That guy's give his lot. And he has put 100 million in the bank. Not that I want it, but what a servant he's becoming. And again, we kind of got back on the Gibbs-White bandwagon here. But what a servant he's becoming, and the way he looks up at the fans yesterday, and he's kind of like sort of apologetic, for the performance, apologetic that he didn't score the second one in particular. And you think, wow. Where have Forest come right now? Where can we still go? If we keep these star boys in the team.
What we need to do, we need to open a massive Selfridges in Nottingham, and then I think it'll be here for life. If you know what I mean.
So we're going, 100 million is a lot of dough, but we are in a position where we don't need to see him. The big man will not want to dismantle the team, but add 5 or 6 quality players. Morgan won't be a starter every game. Do you want to answer that as well? Come on, I want to testify. Go on, doesn't go to fight.
No, at City right now, I think Morgan Gibbs-White starts every single game, and I think possibly, and I don't want to think it, that's what Pep's in his ear about because he plays off the front man. He plays off Haaland. Can you imagine him putting balls through for Haaland?
Well, replace De Bruyne. To replace De Bruyne.
Yeah, because De Bruyne is leaving. So he plays Phil Foden off the wing. Only England see him as a bit of a number 10. He generally, Foden had his best year for City as a number 10, but generally he plays him off the wing at City, off the other side to what England tried to play him off. So I see him starting. Imagine his numbers if he's putting the ball through for Haaland. Because it doesn't even have to be as perfect as it has to be now for Chris Wood. Because Haaland will just elbow someone, kick him off the ball, and stick it in the bottom corner. So it's just going to generate him into this amazing. Like, if he went to a club like that, and I don't see it, I really don't see it. And I know I'm kind of flitting between opinions a little bit here. I don't see it right now. But again, if you've got Pep in your ear, you've got something about you. Even if he's just saying, well done. He's made a point. I saw it with Virgil van Dijk, right, in the Liverpool game. They knew they was in a battle at Forest because he kept going up to Murillo, high-fiving him. And I thought, he knows he's up against a player here today. Van Dijk is known as the best defender probably in the world right now. And Murillo had got his respect. And again, I think it's the same with Pep. And Morgan Gibbs-White, I think he's got his respect. And I don't think he's necessarily tapping him up and saying, come and play for us. But if he's having a word, and then the bid comes in at some point, Gibbs-White's going to think, I quite like this guy. He said nice things about me. And that's just where it is. But I think he definitely does start for City. again amongst all that talent. And the only reason he starts for City rather than England is because Cole Palmer plays for Chelsea and Jude Bellingham plays for Real Madrid and Declan Rice plays for Arsenal, and they're the three players that really keep him out the England team. But there is three really good players in there.
100%. Before we do, people, we've got 10 minutes to go. In the chat as well, who was your man of match yesterday? I'm watching team rating. Go on, Molly. Who's your favourite player today?
Oh, we don't need to say much, do we? Because we've talked about it for the last 15 minutes. Gibbs White by an absolute country mile yesterday. Two centre halves did really, really well. Sells kept us in the game, although he should have come for that cross probably. But Gibbs White, it was miles ahead yesterday. It was like one of those games, wasn't it? Team rating, if you want that. I'm a realist because there's not many points for the first half, but 6, a push, maybe 5.5, 6. You know, because I'm not putting any context on it because we were up against a vastly improved Man City. They're back to not what they were, but close to what they were. But we don't know because when we got at them second half, they did look wobbly, didn't they? And we did create chances. So I think it's a generous 6, really, because I think if we'd have been able to go at them at the start. Just final thing on the Gibbs White thing I was going to say. If you've got a Hudson-Odoi and a Langer playing, straight away, Gibbs White's going to have to drop 10 yards, isn't he? Even though he's got good technical players outside him, we're going to be short in midfield at times because they're both terrific players. And Langer in particular works really, really hard. But they're forward-thinking players, and they'll make those forward runs. There are going to be gaps. So I 100% agree with what Des is saying, except that my worry is
dynamic number 6 comes in, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think that you can't have one player doing the job of 2, can you? It just doesn't work. Even if you're Rodri. You'd
have Anderson and Louise maybe, or Wharton or someone like that.
Yeah.
So you still have Anderson, but again, I get your point. There is in this team, that's exactly what happens. What you just said, Molo.
Yeah.
So when we have all 4 on the pitch, he has to, and he often gets moved to accommodate Elanga up front. So he gets back naturally through that action as well. So I get it, but I just think get that midfield sorted in the summer. Watch us go.
But I think gradual transformation if we hang on to players, because how many times have we heard teams go, we want to play a different way, have a look at West Ham, and then they try and change the style of play and they drop off, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I don't think we should change that. Just on that point, I don't think we should change it. It's just finding that bit of balance, isn't it? Because I totally agree with what the pundit said. We get hammered if we play the way we do. We get hammered in the Champions League. Can you imagine Forest playing that PSG side right now?
Yeah.
We're negative because we think, oh well, we're not there and whatever. But it's just the way they're relentless. Some of these teams, they're just relentless. Whereas, again, we'd have to make those adjustments to get a bit more of the football to be in control of the game. Aston Villa,
there's more time and space, though, isn't there, in the Champions League? Because I've actually took a bit of an interest in it in the last few months since I thought we might be in it. And there are some, we're not going to have to worry if, when we play Bodo Glint or whoever, what it is, you play a PSG or whoever, and they are brilliant on the ball, but they give you more time on the ball as well, aren't they? I mean, one thing you got to say for City that they did yesterday, and it was really obvious in the first half, we didn't have a second on the ball anywhere on the pitch, did we? Every time a defender got the ball, there was someone like even Matt Sells, even though they know he's probably going to go long if there's nothing on, they still were running him down in the first half, weren't they? To make sure he went long. So,
and I agree, but it comes back to this thing Roy Keane was talking about as well, doesn't it? Where when you go behind, if you don't adjust, you're struggling. So that's just finishing up.
Yeah.
Was yours Gibbs White as well?
Yes, of course. I've apologised
Same.
for the last 25 minutes about him.
I don't know. Yeah, he might. I know you like Gibbs White. Just he could have been someone different. That's all.
No, a couple of notable mentions. I thought Elanga changed the game somewhat.
Definitely.
But Elanga right now, and I've just eulogised about Gibbs White. Elanga right now is frightening. And people. I was saying to some of my mates yesterday, and they might think I'm getting a bit carried away on Elanga because I was quite down on Elanga at the start of the season. He was the one player who wasn't quite doing it, and he said that himself. So before anyone has a go at me, he said
people have a go at Des. If you disagree with him, just have a go at him. Please do.
He said in an interview that because he got dropped from Sweden, didn't he? And he said his form had not been quite there. There was this link with Newcastle and this going on, and since sort of I'm thinking sort of Brentford away, Man U, Brentford away, that type of period. It's just been incredible, and if his numbers carry on the way they are, top clubs in Europe are going to be looking at him. Because I was thinking, where does Elanga go next? There was a link back to Man United. There's a link to Newcastle. But when you look at his numbers over the last 10, 12 games, he's way better. He's not going back to Man United, and he's probably better than Newcastle even. But is he going to a City? Is he going to an Arsenal? Or is he going even bigger than that? Because, again, if his numbers carry on and his impact in football matches carry on, he's getting goals. He's winning games. He's scoring match winners, which is a big thing. So when the games are tight, he'll get the 1-0 or whatever that. He got a hat-trick of assists. Yeah, it was Ipswich, that kind of thing. But or wherever it was, I can't remember the game. Brighton probably, wasn't it? Ipswich, he turned into prime Stan Collymore, on that day for 20 minutes. So again, Elanga is such a player, and that's why everybody's a little bit like, oh, did Nuno get it right? I just accept Nuno made a decision based on everything that's going on. Don't like it. I'd love to prioritise the FA Cup for yesterday, but Nuno made a decision for the bigger picture of everything that was going on yesterday. I suspect Elanga's probably even carrying a knock, from a couple of weeks ago when he went off against Villa. So again, you have to take everything into context. But what a player he's become, and I'd be really worried now if somebody comes. And Callum Hudson-Odoi has shown the consistency that Chelsea were begging for. Chelsea were sticking by him and not selling him to Bayern Munich or wherever it was. Was it Bayern Munich? Yeah, it was. Wasn't it?
Bayern Munich. Yeah.
They wouldn't sell him for those big numbers because they were waiting for this player to come through. And what a consistent player. So this, what I've been saying in recent weeks, though, I've been sort of arguing in WhatsApp groups that don't panic. Because these players are absolutely mustard right now. Hudson-Odoi and Elanga are almost peaking. If there's another level to them, oh my God. Forget worrying about PSG in the Champions League. We'll push them aside.
Let them worry about us.
Kidding, but you know what I mean? These players are Morgan Gibbs White playing like he is. Put a striker in there. Put a top quality striker. No disrespect to Wood. He's another year older. Will he have the same season? Put a number 6 in there. But yeah, for me, Elanga yesterday, getting back to the point of the question, just... I look where
Des does this. He doesn't answer the question, and he answered the question about 5 minutes later.
I'm thinking it all through. But he occupies defences. And again, that's the point, isn't it? Where 2 years ago, if it weren't for Tyro battering people out of the way and running through them and shinning one into the bottom corner, it wasn't happening, was it? But now we've got different things going off around the team, and people have to worry about this. So I think Elanga had a massive impact. This was about man of the match. Gibbs White was the man of the match. I thought Milenkovic was brilliant yesterday when the game settled down. And I thought I spoke about concentration with Denilo. Right? Matt Sells' concentration, apart from corners at the back post, where we seem to be getting it. Every week we seem to be getting it. over that run over Christmas, we never conceded from corners or crosses. I think there was a stat that we'd gone from the worst to the best at defending corners. And all of a sudden, we're conceding a lot of headers, which worries me a bit. But in terms of shot stopping, and I know it's a prerequisite for a goalkeeper, right? This guy's concentration has got to be up there because there was 2 saves yesterday, which really he shouldn't be making. You know, especially when City is knocking it back, beating a man, looking the other way, that kind of thing. So this guy is an invaluable asset. So I think whilst we did come back into the game, it takes City a second to score a goal. So you got to credit Matt Sells, just like you did at Tottenham. Brilliant. Yeah. So again, it's hard to pick a man of the match in a 2-0 disappointing FA Cup semi-final defeat, which was over before it really got started. But there's so much to be positive about. We're not a flash in the pan. Molo touched on the fact I've been saying for weeks. We got beat by Everton. We got beat because Murillo made a mistake. I'm not having a go at Murillo. Again, he's one of my favourites. But it was a mistake. It was a genuine mistake in the 90th minute. Without that, we played rubbish and could have got a point. Aston Villa, we played rubbish for 45 minutes and brilliant for 45 minutes, and we could have got a point or even more. If we'd have scored a second goal in that, we'd have won the game. Newcastle, if we'd have had another 5-10 minutes, we was all over them. And these are games, the only one is Bournemouth, like Molo touched upon earlier, where we fell apart a little bit. Every other game, even in defeat, we have a chance. And again, that contradicts slightly, again, the points I made about Roy Keane, because we're not quite getting over the line in them. The Everton game, we didn't quite get over the line to get that point when we were rubbish. Villa, we didn't quite get that goal to sort of eradicate the first half performance. But at least we're getting there. What do they say about strikers when they're out of form? At least you're getting in the position to do it. And the more we sort of build that team and build that sort of clinical edge to us and that quality, in the areas that are missing, I can't help but feel, and again, under Marinakis and the winner he is, how much this team is just going to keep moving forward because he ain't going to allow it not to. And what a place for us to be. FA Cup semi-final, said it in my own video, FA Cup semi-final, 6 in the league with 5 games to go and some relatively comfortable home games, hopefully.
Don't say it.
It does.
But what a place. And that's why I can't. I think Forest is the biggest club in the world, Molo. You come on a bit upset with the result and whatever. The result is everything. But you've got to look at it now. And I know I don't need to preach to you or anything, but you've got to look at it now and go, wow. What have Forest done every time? After a result like this, and after the second half, which if we got beat 4-0 because we did conceded 2 more goals, we go into Brentford flat as. It's like the Newcastle game when we conceded those 4 goals. It peters out into a 4-1 in the second half, and we come out of that flat as. We went into the next game thinking we dragged ourselves up there. Villa. When we've been outplayed for the first half, we dragged ourselves up. So rather than just getting beat 2-0, we got beat 2-1 and was a little bit unfortunate. Then we went into the next game and won it. And this is what Forest have done all season. So we got a chance to do that against Brentford again. Although they're dangerous, I hate Brentford. And I worry that they'll always get one over.
Do you hate Brentford or just Thomas Frank? Do you just hate Brentford?
All of it.
I just hate
Ivan Toney. Everyone hates Ivan Toney, don't they? Does he even still play?
I won't mind him. I won't mind Toney, to be fair.
You know what I mean? So all I'm trying to be is really positive about the performance. Even though it wasn't fantastic, we've got a great squad, great players, great individuals, and 5 potentially winnable games, which could still see us are quite comfortable. It goes 2 ways for me. We either get in really, really comfortably, like with 2 games to go, we forest it. We mess it up big time.
A winner takes all Chelsea game. That'd be horrible.
We're going to do it for the Chelsea game. Why? I agree.
Well, no, what I was going to say, though, the one thing I wrote down here, I wanted to make sure I did get across because I know I'm sounding miserable. But I'm not, No, but I'm miserable, but I'm not negative. There's a difference between being gutted and disappointed.
Make it quick, I said. Make it quick.
How far does that show we've come that I'm sat here absolutely gutted that we've just lost to the champions, treble winners a couple of years ago, richest team in the league, arguably, with most money spent, and I'm gutted and I'm trying to get myself ready now. I've got to pick myself up now, which of course we will, ready to go and try and go back into the top 4 on Thursday. That's just amazing. We're the best club in the world. I don't dispute that. I'm just absolutely gutted. I really wanted that FA Cup. When you're as old as me and you've seen that many semi-finals and go the wrong way so many times for various reasons, you'll feel the same about the FA. I love the FA Cup. I want to win it before I'm dead. Next season, people. Right. I was about to talk about the next 5 games, but we've got over time, people. But we'll do a different video for that. But listen, we've got 5 games to go. We've got Brentford on Thursday. Win that. We're back at top 3. We're all happy. We are happy now, but we'll be more happy just to shut them other consequences up. I've had enough. I'm not going to mention the people up, but I've had enough of them. Don't get me started. I want to know what you're talking about now.
No, it's top 6 content creators. Because we've not played a league game for the last 2 weeks. We've fallen off. Win 1 game, we're back in top 3. Absolutely weasels, man. That's what they are. Weasels. But yeah, right. I'm going, people. Thank you, Des. Thank you, Marlon. I feel like ranting for 1 hour. I might do that. People, do you want me to do a live show and just do a rant about this ridiculous top 6 content creators? Absolutely. Oh, bellends. That's what they are. That's what they are. Right. People are going. Thank you, Des. Marlon, you've got a podcast, haven't you? Tricky Talks.
Kind of. It's not me. It's a friend of mine I've known years. He's very professional. He's not like me. He's very talented and professional. He's wanted to start one. I think he kind of, I don't know why, he's asked me if I'll go on it with him, along with, I won't name names because it's someone that he's talking to about having a female regularly on there as well. I'm not saying names, but let's just say my friend left the area to move to Suffolk, as in Ipswich. Yeah,
like Chelsea. You're about Chelsea, aren't you? You're about Chelsea.
I'm not saying it's not my place to say anything, but he's shown me how he's doing it, and he already does stuff elsewhere to do with, I think, American football. He's very, very professional. So I'll probably get booted off after a couple of episodes when I'm miserable or whatever. but I'm looking for a bit of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm not beating him off yet. He's been suspended, but he just hasn't been booted off.
Just make sure you get me on pre-Leicester.
Don't worry about that. That's coming. Right. This what before we do this, what annoys me. You do a Chico Tees and this guy still can't do a YouTube channel. This is so annoying for me. Chico Tees.
No. I'll speak for you on this one because obviously I know what else. Des is got to be the busiest guy I know. I feel guilty. I feel guilty that I can't get my backside out of bed on a Sunday morning to go running with the guys. And honestly, I admire what you're doing, Des, because you got to remember, my life revolves around obviously kids, but football and stuff. Des has got what we do in football. Des has got that. Plus one with the running.
Why are you speaking up for Des?
And also, I'm open to any new offers to actually get me off of this and got moving forward in this world.
People, if you want to
we'll see if we can get Des on as a guest when the time comes.
If I go, that's the final nail in the DoreOntour coffin.
Dickhead, you're such a knob.
Say that, should I?
There's children watching.
I just realised the
context
in that.
Stop. Yeah. I was going to say, stop. That could be used against you.
People, if anyone wants Des Older, I'll take him on a free transfer. Just take him. Please do. I've had enough of him. But yeah, right, people. Thank you everyone for that. It's been a great show. I'll be there doing a video tomorrow. But yeah, absolutely not. Right, people. It's been a great show. Thank you everyone. I'll be back tomorrow for a new video. Peace and love. Up the bloody forest.